Hey guys! I wanted to talk about the books I read this month. I haven't read too many books this month, but the ones that I've read have been really fun. I've really been focusing on playing Sims and just working and also YouTube. So I haven't really been reading that much, but the books that I've read have been awesome. So we'll kick it off with the best one. One of Us is Lying. That's by Kate McManus. That was actually her first book she's ever written, and it is so good. It's Breakfast Club with murder, basically, and it's amazing. The next one is The Music of What Happens. This one was not a favorite. It was okay. This was one of the LGBT books that I've read recently, but it just didn't seem realistic. I feel like the people were so different. There's no way, even if they were stuck on a food truck all day, there's no way they would end up together. They're too different. There's no way. Anyway, I didn't connect with this one, but the cover's beautiful. Next is The Upside of Unrequited, and this is by Becky Albertalli. This was a good book. This had a little bit of LGBT in it. The main character was a girl and she was crushing on a guy. We were also following her sister dating a girl and going through the whole relationship. So that was really fun. That was a good book. I think Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda was better, which is also by Becky. But they're both great books. They're both written really well, and they both tell a great story. So I like both of them. And this one was interesting. The main character never dated anyone. She always had crushes, but maybe these two guys might like her back. Interesting. The next book is when I started reading the Limoncello series. This month I read all three of these books, and there's a fourth one, but I haven't read it yet. And the first one is Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library. The second one is Mr. Limoncello's Library Olympics. And the third one is Mr. Limoncello's Great Library Race. I don't remember what the fourth one's called, but it's also about Mr. Limoncello. And he's a billionaire. He builds a library because the town he's from used to have a library and then they demolished it. So he makes a new library so everyone can enjoy it. He makes games for the kids in the neighborhood to win, and then it gets bigger. He just keeps doing these games and races and everything with the kids. It started with just the kids around him, but then it became like a national thing and kids were flying in from all over to participate. And it's a really good series. It's middle grade kids fiction, but it's a great series. Nothing's too serious about it. It's fun, it's cute, and it's really well done. The next one is Two Can Keep a Secret, which is actually the sequel to One of Us is Lying, and this was about twins, and their mother has some issues and having to go to rehab. So they had to move in with their mother's mother, who they never really hung out with, but it's the only family they have. And they find out that in this town that they're in, there's been 3 girls that have disappeared. One of them was found dead, but there was no closure. Nobody found out who did it or anything like that. So the twins are trying to figure out what happened, and everything wrapped up really well. I didn't have any questions afterwards. Everything made sense, and it was just really good. It was great. And I hope Kate McManus makes more stuff because I think she is such a good writer. Her books are so great, especially because they're kind of like a mystery and they have some murders in there. So I just think well done murder mysteries are the best. And I love that these are teen fiction. They're like mystery books, but they're made for a teen audience. I also love those cozy mysteries that are about the 40-year-old lady up the street with her cat that somehow solves a mystery that nobody else could solve. I love those too. But these are nice because they're made for my age group. I found myself wishing these books didn't end and wishing that I was constantly reading them when I wasn't. The final book I read this month, this one's actually pretty quick. last month I didn't shut up. I kind of wanted this video to be a little shorter. Try these books out for yourself and make your own conclusions about them. I think they're all really good. But the final one is Alistair Grimm's Auditorium. This one was so cute, and there's actually a second book, so I might have to just check that out and see what it's about. Grub is the main character. He's 12 or thereabouts, and he's a chimney sweep, and he runs away to try to get away from his horrible adopted father, basically, and he ends up in this place called the Auditorium, and things that shouldn't be moving are moving, like a broom is somehow living, and he's trying to figure out what is happening. It was a fun little weird book. This is a kid's book. It's got some big words in it, and it's a really long book actually. It's like 400 pages. So I don't know, it didn't read like a kid's book to me. It kind of did, because the main character was a kid and he kind of wrote like a kid, but it was still like a really interesting story, and I think adults would like it too. And it's got some cool pictures in it. Yeah, look at that. That's so cool. Some of them are full pages and some of them are just pictures in there like this. You know, it's just a little picture in the story. But I love that. I love pictures in books. I think more books need some pictures because they're fun. I've been reading a couple series this month with Limoncello and One of Us is Lying and Two Can Keep a Secret. It's been pretty nice because you start to get connected to the characters and it's like, oh, well, I'm not done with these characters. I want to keep reading. I feel like these books, you don't have to read all of them and you don't have to read them in order to like them, and I also love that because sometimes when you're reading a series and it tends to go on really long and you can't like skip one, you have to read all of them and it's a continued story and it's like kind of exhausting. You're kind of like obligated to keep reading even if you kind of want to stop because the story is still going and you're like, oh my god. The nice thing about like Mr. Limoncello, each of these books is a good standalone book. You don't have to read one of them to understand the other, and you don't have to keep reading because the story's still going on. It's just nice to read one of them. It's nice to have a short little series where they're fun and you don't feel any kind of pressure to keep reading. There's so many series for kids that sometimes it's too many series and you just want to read one book. These were the books I read this month. Not too many. I've just been focusing on other stuff. And it's so hot. Like, I used to read a lot outside. I had a little rocking chair and I would read out there, but it is too hot to read outside. It's too hot to do anything. I just want to like sleep. I'm excited to see by the end of the year how many books I read. I'm hoping that this year I find the best book ever and I find great things that I love reading like I have so far. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you've been reading. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.